Good morning, I'm Kristyn Schweitzer, Director of Sales for the Northeast Footprint at Sprague Energy. Welcome to Sprague's Refined Products Review, where we discuss what's moving the market and give you insight into what we're seeing, hearing, and talking about every day. Today is February 19th. Oil market movements remain choppy within the range of $70 crude. Oil prices climbed last week over supply concern from sanctions on Iran, despite concern for tariffs, only to decline the latter half of the week and into this week as Russia-Ukraine peace talks gained traction. Meanwhile, a big crude inventory build was reported. However, take notice that distillate inventories remain at the low end of the 5-year average, down 11% year on year, and that includes Pad 1 here in the Northeast as well. Other global market factors and impacts over the last week. OPEC reported growing demand in 2025, mostly due to travel. On the contrary, Bank of America reports slowing demand growth due to the rapid transition to renewables. Support for oil is coming from a weaker dollar and continued drone attacks on Russia, while the market will remain cautious as peace talks continue. Peace could mean fewer sanctions on Russian supply. Ultimately, more Russian supply in the market could cap oil prices. Interest rates and inflation can and will continue to affect the market. It's highly unlikely that the Fed will cut interest rates. They don't meet again until mid to late March. While higher inflation can dampen and pressure prices, it can also slow investment in production and oil infrastructure, having a long-term effect on supply. Baker Hughes reported the domestic rig count rising for the third consecutive week, the first increases in over a year. This signals confidence in the future of oil prices. Yet major players like Chevron and BP are laying off workers while relying on advanced drilling technology like hydraulic fracking and horizontal drilling. Supply and logistics are keeping things interesting. Sprague is continuously evaluating our resupply strategies, and while our supply team says that New York Harbor is well offered into the end of the month, seeing ships and cargoes of product, there's more severe weather in the forecast, and there's potential impact to barging and logistics which can affect resupply schedules. We hear our customers are seeing and feeling similar constraints with trucks on the road and lack of drivers and hours. The Fed did extend their hours of service waiver into the end of the month. Biofuels and renewables are also a point of interest. Rail logistics and operations are also struggling. Due to much uncertainty still around the biotax credits, the biofuel market remains very strong, trading at 50 over in New York Harbor. We're going to have to start talking and thinking about how we'll supply New York and the Northeast biomandates without any imports. Biden's $20 billion in green grants is under scrutiny, and Trump is trying to claw those funds back. Trump tariffs and tensions also remain high. A little history on tariffs. I learned that after World War II, global trade agreements were designed to boost economic growth. Now, the Trump administration is taking a different approach, implementing a 25% tariff on aluminum and steel last week. We saw the market respond, and we saw China has also responded with tariffs of its own. The big question, will these costs ultimately hit consumers and reduce global cooperation and commerce? What's next? As month-end approaches, watch for renewed headlines on tariffs involving Canada and Mexico, which could add another layer of complexity to energy and trading. And lastly, the most relevant factor of this season is the weather and fuel demand. We're actually having a real winter. Credit to my Vermont newsletter for telling me that we're 10% ahead on heating degree days this season year on year. We're seeing gas curtailments and we're meeting that demand. We're moving the juice. None of us could miss that there's an active storm system upon us here in the Northeast. Our Hartree meteorologist says that the balance of the month could be expected to be lower than normal, and I'm hearing that there's also hope for March. We've been waiting a long time for this. Be sure to mark your calendars for our next special feature, a deep dive into our ULSD Premium Road Force package with Christine Sullivan. That will launch next Friday, February 28th. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday with another Refined Products Review. Refine your insight, fuel your success.